This is VOCM Open Line. Call 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. The views and opinions of this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now. Here's VOCM Open Line host Paddy Daly.
Well, good morning and welcome to Open Line. Brian Callahan in for Paddy this morning on this pretty frigid morning. But you know, all things considered, yes, and David Williams, thank God, is producing the show here today. Dave, I'm leaning on you, buddy, like you wouldn't believe. It's cold, but, you know, we're not strangers to that or the wind. But when, you know, you get the extremes of both, which we did this past weekend, I won't even say extremes. I mean, the cold, minus 10, minus 15, these parts. Now, Central and Labrador, when you're looking at wind chills down in the minus 50 range, yeah, you want to take that extra precaution. But yeah, so I mean, it's not exactly unusual for this time of year. What was unusual, of course, was the compounding problems that occurred, of course, with ice around the province, especially, of course, at the Bay d'Espere hydro plant. So we were all on pins and needles, and you know, what they described as the size of mattresses, I think the officials did. There's an image. First time ever shut down the entire plant out there due to this so-called fragile ice. But you know, good on hydro. Newfoundland Power are quick. We are always quick to, you know, take a piece off the utilities or the government or anything for lack of. But there was full transparency on this over the weekend. 2 news conferences back-to-back, Saturday and Sunday. You trotted out the officials, and they set up in looked like the foyer there of Hydro building here in St. John's, and gave us everything we needed to know. And, you know, thank goodness, no rolling blackouts. But, of course, as they said, that was always the potential if the work could not be sufficiently done to clear that ice and get those turbines going again. But just display the series. Also fully inform what's going on. Listening to Lloyd Parrott there, the Energy Minister, just before the program began this morning, talking about the coordination, you know, of all the big power consumers in the province, you know, and the companies doing their part to make sure that, you know, God forbid, we are in a worse, I don't even want to think about 12 years ago, Dave? 2014, Darkanel? You know, you can't help it, but it comes to mind. But we weren't in that situation this time. Thank the Lord for that. But the work that went on out there, you know, we do, as I said, we do a lot of crap on the utilities over our bills and that sort of thing. But let's all take a breath and appreciate the work that they do. All we ever see is a power bill. But when you look at the work that went on this weekend and everybody pulling their weight, round of applause for all them. But even a larger round of applause. Why not a standing ovation for the divers involved in those operations out there? One can only imagine. May well have saved us from the need for those blackouts. I understand, you know, these weren't hydro workers, I believe. I think they were contracted to get down in, like, the water wasn't cold enough. But, you know, you're going under ice and those openings and that sort of thing. I know Hydro posted some photos to social media over the weekend showing all the ice, you know, on the water and around the plant out in Bay d'Espere. It gives you some context to it, but you can only imagine, and you know, the picture of people spotting on the sides of the riverbanks and all the coordination that had to go on out there. Let's really, really just take a moment to appreciate all the work that happened so that, first of all, we can be on the air, although VOCM will always find a way to get on the air. But, you know, the fact that we are all not in a rolling blackout situation. And look at that, funny timing, hey? Back on Monday morning, everything's good to go. We say that easy enough in one breath, but again, Hydro, Newfoundland Power, all those involved with keeping us warm, keeping the lights on, and the hard work that went on this weekend. I saw a discussion looking about a break on power bills because we all had the concern. I mean, of course, the residents, it's clear. I mean, they see the numbers. So people in the province, they heeded the advice, the word from the utilities to try to cut it back. And everyone did. I looked around my neighborhood. You know, you look out the back through my back door and you can see a good portion of a downtown part. And it was definitely darker. I mean, you know, the lights it was not illuminated. There's no question. People actually took it seriously in their minds to go and and not have all those extra lights on. You know, you see the stringy lights in backyards and all that sort of thing. A lot of neighbors around me didn't have those on, so good on everyone for doing their part. We also know there were other issues going on around the province. There's, I mean, we could talk about the grid and how you handled the weekend situation, maybe some original ways of keeping warm, maybe, safely, I hope, you know, given the dangers that can be, you know, with generators and candles and all that sort of thing. So it looks like, you know, knock on wood, we, you know, managed to come through that one. And again, so, you know, credit where credit is due. Also hearing some issues, you know, there were some flooding concerns out around Glovertown, Terra Nova. I hadn't. It's been years since I've heard of a situation around there. We all know that Badger can be an issue this time of year, and it is almost every year. We've got to keep that flood watch on the go. But this was a little bit of a surprised to see that around the Glovertown, Terra Nova. I think we're hoping to speak with the mayor of Glovertown this morning on the program to get a little update on that and see where they are. I think it's receding and it's not as much of a risk and threat out there now. So great there. Of course, there was an incident at the Voisey's Bay mine over the weekend that we heard yesterday morning. I think it was late or early Saturday morning. A worker was injured when there was what they call a fall of ground. I'm not sure if that was the ground under him or the ground above him, but or the person or the worker. But that there was one person sent to hospital. Initial reports were serious condition. The company valet has said that he is in stable condition in a hospital. So that person is, I shouldn't say he. They did not reveal a gender, but that's just a man here saying he over and over. Okay, it's been a morning already here, so it's always lovely to get thrown into the show. No knocks on anyone, but it reminds you to keep on your toes about everything that's going on, and it's the fire hose. It really is the proverbial fire hose of everything that's going on. I did want to do a quick check-in away from all the hard news on just a few bit of sports. I mean, if it wasn't for sports, I wouldn't have that therapy on the weekend either. Let's see. What's a couple of quick things? Okay, so the Mackenzie Mitchell rink up at the Scotties. Beat Nunavut yesterday 8-2. That puts him at 1-2 record at the Scotty Curling National Women's Curling Championship. We've got Nova Scotia this afternoon. So yeah, nice win. Put one in the win column early on. But it'll be a tough week. A lot of experienced rinks up there and sports. Let's see, week 2 of the Aussie Open. There's something about watching the Aussie Open this time of year in the 30, 35, 40 degrees Celsius sun-baked spectators in the stands in Melbourne. And I tell you what, that's a vacation I've got to do sometime. But no Canadians left in the singles draw now. Vicky Mboko, the upstart phenom female Canadian tennis player, gave it a good run. Certainly, though, made it to the third round. Little out of her league, though, against the world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka. Started out well, looked promising. She put on some early pressure, but could not sustain that and went down. But that'll still be a great run into week 2 now, and the big names, and the timing is interesting. You know, it's like prime time, 8:30 p.m. Newfoundland time that they usually begin the second round, because it's almost a full day ahead, of course. And the second round, begin the next day of tennis, of course. So tonight, 8:30, we'll be watching tomorrow's day games and matches, and a lot of good ones there. And don't look now, but the Raptors are good, and they have been good. I'm sure they're perfectly content to fly below the radar of all, you know, the onslaught of media and the ones who have already anointed teams like OKC to repeat. But West Coast swing, 4 in a row. Not easy games on the road, on the West Coast, including last night knocking off the defending champs and MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Picked up that win last night. And I know the Thunder have had a little bit of a lapse, but they're still the champs, and they can turn it on, and they will, because this is really the dog days of winter for basketball and hockey. You know, there's a lot of jockeying for position going on and that sort of thing. I can't really take hockey serious until early March, even late February, because I don't think they do. But that's just me. All right, so let's see, Dave, where do we go? How are we doing on the calls? I've got one there now. I'm not going to, as long as we have phone callers, I'm not going to go on at all. I can always babble on when we have a break sometime later. But I will just mention quickly, the Prime Minister is set to announce some financial top-ups, I believe, some cost of living help for Canadians today. I think cost of living relief measures, I think it's around 10:30 this morning. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Talking about reintroducing a grocery rebate and, through a one-time GST top-up, that would be. And sources are also saying that there might be a 50% top-up in June as well for eligible Canadians. Of course, that's as long as you don't owe any taxes, because that'll come out of that before you get a check in the mail. But and then, of course, the House of Commons resumes today as well, and there will be lots going on there as far as there's no shortage. I mean, we can talk all about what's happening on the national front. A lot of kudos for Carney for taking the lead, as it were, on the pushback to Trump, of course, over Greenland. I'm not going to get into all of that this morning, last week, in his speech, of course, to the World Economic Forum. And now the back and forth due to the trade overtures Canada's made to China. And, we made those. Hopefully they'll come through, the canola deal and the seafood deals with China on a side to, reinvigorate deals that were already there. But and we could talk about all that. It's not a free trade deal. It doesn't infringe on the CUSMA, as it appears the president would like to say off the cuff, off the top of his head, of course, which we all know he does on a regular basis. Even though, and then a threat of 100% tariffs if we do it. So, I don't even know if you want to go down that road of the things that come out of the President of the United States' mouth from minute to minute. That's one thing. But Carney does have that world profile, has the respect of others. His former jobs, of course, Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. And he was the man for the moment last week, when a lot of the nations needed it and needed some steady hand words to be said. But people wanting him to really focus, more now on Canada, on the issues that we are dealing with here at home. So I'm sure that'll happen, and it'll be top of mind when the MPs get back into the House of Commons this afternoon. Let's see, Dave. As I said, I've got callers, so I'm not going to babble on. Why don't we take our first break? They're just coming up to the break time. I'm not going to miss any of them today. I'm going to remember them all. Going to surprise the hell out of Dave there this morning and not walk all over things, even though I'm just hoping everything comes back to me. Dave, let's take that break. Back with our first caller, Brian Callahan, in for Paddy Daly this morning. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the show. Welcome to Open Line for this Monday morning list. Dave, I just saw Good Samaritan up on my screen. I'm going to take that call on line 3. Ruby, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Ruby. Thanks. I saw Good Samaritan. I said, let's start with it sounds like a good call, positive call. Let's start with that.
Okay. So there yesterday, I went over to Canadian Tire over on Apron Way to pick up a heater. So I go over, it was a windy, rainy, miserable day.
Oh, it was?
And I purchased the heater and came out to my car, tried to put it in the back seat of my car, but the wind was so strong. I dropped my car keys, and not thinking about anything else, picked up my car keys, got in my car, and came on home. I'm only living over here on McNiven Place, not far. So I come home and come in the house, and I realized I'd lost my wallet. I couldn't believe it. So I was making my way over to go back over there to see if I could find the wallet. And as I was going out the door, this man and his wife came up close to the house, and the lady got out of the car, and she said, "Are you Ruby?" And I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "Does this belong to you?" And when I looked, it was my wallet.
Oh, my God.
I had almost $200 in that wallet. And I didn't know what to say. I was flabbergasted. Absolutely flabbergasted. And I don't know why, but I asked, I said, "Do you live close to here?" And they said, "No, we live down in Pooch Cove." I said, "Oh, I see." And I never thought to myself to get their names, nothing. Even to send a thank you card, nothing. I said, I don't know what I was thinking. I just was not thinking. But I sure would like for that couple to be able to make contact with me so that I could even send them a thank you card. Now, that's my reason for calling now this morning. I just can't get over beautiful couple and what they done for me.
And Ruby, that's the MO for people like that. They don't stop to look for that kind of. They wouldn't have even thought to give you a name. They wouldn't have even,
no.
Someone say, "Here's my name," and something. If you want to get into, No,
Yeah.
they do it. People
No.
like that do it because that's the goodness of their hearts, right? And I mean,
It has to be.
I can't tell you the pit of your stomach when you realize you lost your wallet or your keys or your phone. I mean, I left my keys on right next to the eggs in Sobeys one day. Never thinking, I had no bag, I left the bag out in the vehicle. Didn't have anything to carry the 2 or 3 things I needed. You know what it's like. You grab a couple another thing on the way out, and another thing. Next thing you know, you're at a balancing act there, and eggs in one hand, and it was like last thing on my mind. Got out, realized I lost my keys. And the feeling in your stomach that goes is like, or your phone even. The phone these days is everything. So I can't tell you how. Look, the goosebumps on me just listening to you talk about how they pulled up in front of your house, and the thought of having to go back up there and look around on the parking lot or in the store. You must have really thought it was hopeless.
I thought it was hopeless, yeah. But I thought I'm going to go over. I walked down over the steps, and there they parked, and a lady got out, and she said, "Are you Ruby?" I said, "Yes, I am." Well, I thought, what a blessing. What a beautiful couple.
Wow.
And I hope that they're listening so that I could, like I said, send them a thank you card, do something for them. Even to know their names. I don't even know their names. That's the sad part about it. But anyways, I just thought I would call this in because I thought it was a good news story.
Ruby, it's the best news story we could have first off the cuff this morning.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking my call. I do appreciate it.
I can't tell you
and
how
I do
much,
enjoy your show.
And I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a good day.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Yeah, Ruby, boy, you're blessed. You stop and think about everything that the implications of losing your wallet, let alone a couple of $100 in cash. But, I mean, the cash is one thing, your IDs and everything, and trying to do all that. And, oh, my God. And in the weather yesterday, the thought of having... people who do that don't look for thanks. That's why. Just come up, return it, on their way. Okay, let's go. That was a good one. Let's try Kim. Kim, you're on the air. Line 1.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kim. How are you?
Nice to hear a happy story.
Oh, my God, is it ever. I saw it on the screen. I said, I'm going to that one no matter what I do. But go ahead, please.
Mine is not such a happy one.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Anyway, I'm just going to briefly tell you about my daughter. She was diagnosed with epilepsy a couple of years ago after numerous trips to the hospital prior to that, before she actually got diagnosed. She spent 2 weeks on life support. We got through all that. During the same time, my husband with cancer, and it's just recently passed. I'm sorry if I get emotional. But anyway, I'm looking for some support here now, because since she's been diagnosed with epilepsy, she's had many, many seizures afterwards, and they're called TNES seizures. Now, I've just spent since Friday at the hospital with her, and they keep discharging her because there's nothing they can do. There's no medical treatment for it. But I'm really at my wit's end, because I'm watching her seizure all day, all night, and there's nothing that I can do. I can't get any help anywhere. I'm looking for somebody out there in the public that have been through this and just support me in some way.
Kim, I'm so sorry to hear this. So these are non-epileptic seizures, right? So I think that's the definition for the PNES. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
They define it as non-epileptic, which makes it so hard to diagnose, treat, and find the right sort of therapy for it.
Exactly.
But do you have family physician yourself? Like, do you have?
Yes, but just nobody can give me any answers. Nobody can help me, and I don't know what to do.
I really wish this one's out of the blue for me. I really do. I mean,
But is there people out there that have experienced this PNES that can tell me what they do so that I can move forward? I mean, I'm in a hotel room now in Clarenville because I can't go home to Hickman's Arbor because I can't leave her.
You'd say you're in a hotel room in Clarenville now?
Yes, I am.
I'm so sorry for what you're going through. Have you been in touch with
They discharged her from the hospital yesterday. My intention was to go right to St. John's, but no, what would that per? They would probably discharge her out there as well. I don't know.
So you're there with her.
She wasn't well enough for me to travel with her. She was seizuring in the car with me, and I couldn't do it. She was vomiting. What could I do?
Have you had any contact with the Epileptic Association?
But it's not epileptic seizures, so they're not.
No, I know, but this is about as close as you could come to. At least I'm sure they've had other people probably in the same boat who, that's about as close as they can come. At least people who may have come to them and they've directed the other way. If anyone's listening from the Epilepsy Association, maybe. But these are, I know this rings a bell from years ago, reporting 30 years. Every now and then you come across certain stories. I do recall something about this, and at the time, there was this sort of misconception that they're like fake seizures, that they're not actually...
They're not fake seizures. If you read
exactly.
on it, they're not fake. This girl cannot help what's happening to her here now.
Exactly.
Can't help it.
It's like a physical reaction, is it not, to emotion and stress? And
there's all kinds of triggers. Anything can trigger it. There's lots of things.
I guess the most important thing right now...
How do you watch somebody do this day in, day out? You can't do it.
It's something I've never come across. This is the best venue for it, to get it out there and see if anyone else is going through anything similar to this or has gone through it and what they've been able to do. And you're saying, a physician, nobody has any... I would Google up everything I could here right now, but it's completely out of the blue for me. But I'm sure you've been through all this, and you've contacted everyone, I guess, have you? You've gone through all the different...
The hospital went to their... as far as they could go yesterday with treatments that they did give her. No, I'm sorry, you have to take her out. She can't come here. This is not the place for her. They basically, not in exact words, but said, don't come back there anymore. But they did say, there's no point in coming back here.
There's talk of like cognitive behavioral therapy and this sort of thing, but
exactly.
I don't... But
where is it? Where is it? How come I'm not getting it?
That's the question I'm putting out with you today, because I guess you've certainly had more experience with this situation, as difficult and as traumatic and as hard as it is for you and your daughter right now.
I can't even tell you the number of trips we've made to the hospital for this. So why aren't we getting the help we need?
I don't know, and that's the question that I have as well for you. I mean, sorry, I'm not as close to it as you, I guess. Again,
no, and you need to witness what I'm witnessing, to see for yourself what it is.
So you've had no information that could tell you there's any kind of behavioral therapy or anything like that for this, and you've not been referred, and no one knows.
I've been told that's what she needs, but where am I getting it?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I can't go into Walmart and buy it.
Nope, that's a good question. It's the first time I've come across the issue right now. Years ago, there's something reminds me about this, but I don't know off the top of my head. I wish I did. But again, they call them functional seizures, but I'm sure that doesn't give you any.
No, she's having vocal seizures. She's having lots of different types. There's hundreds of different types, and she's having several different kinds. There's a lot to it. I know that, but why am I not getting the help for this girl?
So you went to the hospital in Clarenville. It didn't work, and now you're at a hotel there.
We've been at the hospital since Friday and got discharged and discharged, and here I am in a hotel in Clarenville now because I live in Hickman's Harbour. I don't have the means to get her in and out. She's seizuring so much. I'm going to get a wheelchair now shortly because I can't even get her out to the car there right now.
To what extent do the seizures go, Kim? I mean, this has been going, does this happen every day? Does it happen every week?
Every day. It's usually all day long.
And what are the results? Does she come out of them? And is there a break?
Come out of them. A relaxing thing is to get in the bathtub with the water running over her. That's the only thing that she finds any relaxing thing for her at all. And I have a new home, which I don't even have a bathtub in it. So how can I even take her back home? If that's the only thing that she got to relax her, I don't even have it.
So you don't have a bathtub in the house? It's just the shower, I guess.
No. This shower.
And do you have any other relatives that you can, or friends, or that, in the short term? I mean, I'm hoping the more we talk about this, the more information that's out there, maybe someone will catch.
I have another daughter with 2 little boys. I'm not letting them witness what she's doing. I'm sorry, but that's not.
No, certainly I understand.
No, that's all I have. It's only myself and my daughter, 2 daughters, and 2 grandsons. And
I'm sorry for the loss of your husband as well. It's been a rough time. I wish I could help you right here off the cuff, but I can only rely on our listeners, people with much more expertise in this area than myself.
Well, the medical have failed me big time since he had cancer alone, and not alone anything else. This on top of it.
Yeah,
On the ambulance, we had to wait 16 hours one day for an ambulance for him. And we owned the ambulance service and ran them all in for over 50 years, and I can guarantee you nobody had to wait 16 hours. No one had to wait 6 minutes. And we had to experience 16 hours at one point to get him home, and we gave up on it. He begged me to come to the hospital to get him, and I went there with a stretcher that we had out home and brought him home. That's what it came to. So there's where the system has failed me big time.
And when you've had that failure previously, it just compounds the issue, especially when you're going in circles here with your daughter and no solution to how to deal with her seizures the way she's dealing. Again, they're called psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, PNES. If anyone is listening and's got some expertise, more than me, I mean, we're not looking for a diagnosis or anything, but somewhere where you could turn for help. I think Dave has your number there. If anyone, gets in touch with us, whether on air or off air, we'll certainly pass it on to you. I'm up against the clock here now, Kim, but I just wish you nothing but the best. I'm so sorry for what you're going through. I
just need some help. I need some direction. I need to know where to go from here because I do not know where to go.
The other thing, of course, is, there has to be more information than I can get my fingertips on right now at this moment. Dave's going to have a chat with you there right now. He may have some information for you. But we'll go to break. I'm going to put you over to Dave. And I just wish you nothing but I know how difficult this must be just to be in the hotel room with really no idea where to turn. Hopefully, we can, open line will work its magic. And the amount of people listening will have something to share and maybe some kind of advice on where you can turn next. Kim, I'm so sorry. I wish you nothing but the best. Hang on the line there now, and Dave's going to have a quick chat with you, okay? Okay. That was Kim online. We wish the things that people are going through that you don't know. And hopefully Kim can find some solution to that. Dave, let's take that break and get right back with Peter. We're going to talk about some snow clearing right after break. And welcome back to Open Line. Brian Callahan on short notice this morning for Paddy Daly. And let's go to line number 2. Peter Leonard, you're on the air.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Brian.
Morning, Peter. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Brian, I've been watching the news there about Transportation Minister Barry Petton, and it's been ongoing now since the winter. But I'm calling from Southern Harbour, and here in this community, like we got people the same as everywhere. I guess we got them going to Long Harbour, Clarenville, which is about a half an hour drive on the Trans-Canada each way, and Cumberland and all those places. But really, why I'm calling this morning is we got kids and young teenagers that go to school at Tri-Cinch Academy in Arlescove, and I believe there's 5 communities that have buses going into there. There's Cumberland, Sunnyside, Southern Harbour, Little Harbour, okay, yeah, and Arlescove would be the 5th, yeah. But anyway, our children deserve better than had to be on those roads like that. And we had another delay this morning. There was a tractor trailer stuck in the hill there and stuff like that, and a very professional driver at that too. But our roads, to me, like being a senior citizen and that, I don't know if I see them bad, as bad as what they are this year, since they were dirt roads, and I think they were paved in the late 70s. And I don't know the reason for it. Mr. Petton got all the reasons why they're not cleared and stuff like that, but our children deserve better. I'd hate to see a politician come on the news and say that my heart goes out to the families, because those roads are not really fit. And it's 2 days here in Southern Harbour since we had any snow. And when we leave in the community, we got close to a 90-degree turn there. And then we got to go up probably different hills, but we're probably overall length is probably 1.5 kilometres before you get up on the level. And then when you get in Arlescove, well, You got on ramps, off ramps, and then you get a couple of 90-degree turns going out in Arnoldstove. One there by where you exit to the oil refinery, and you think that the operator or the supervisor would tell the operator, like, you're going to need extra sand and salt. You're going to pay either like an intersection. You're going to have to put extra there to make sure. But it's not happening, and it's up sometimes 12 o'clock in the day before there's anything out here. And we haven't experienced this in the past, Brian. This is the worst year. And I'm not really calling on Barry Pitton, or I'm not calling on Jeff Dwyer. I'm calling on Tony Wakeham, and I think Tony Wakeham will take care of this and have it done for our children and for our workers. This is unacceptable. This has gone too far, and we're only about halfway through. We've been in the winter now since early November, and what can I say? I hear other people complaining, and they say everything is from can't find workers, all this kind of stuff. Well, let me tell you, if they can't find workers, fast food restaurants can find workers, fish plant can find workers. Why don't they go outside the line and see if they can find workers? You can't leave it like this. It's just not acceptable. And I think Tony Wakeham will see that this is taken care of for the rest of the winter. I really do. And if he don't, well, it's only a matter of time, Brian, and something is going to happen, and everybody's going to be fairly sad, I would think, but I would not hope.
Yeah, well, I mean, what can I say? Peter, every situation. What specifically? Well, let me ask this. I mean, Transportation Minister Barry Pitton had said that the 24-hour snow clearing service would start within 2 weeks. That was about 2 weeks ago. But of course, the staffing, as you alluded to, has been a problem. I mean, they could only find one, I think, eligible candidate for the eastern area, or at least the Avalon area at one point. The intention is there, certainly, but they have made no bones about it, and we all knew that staffing would be an issue. And at some point, you want to make sure that who they're hiring, that these are fully qualified. I mean, when you have difficulties hiring people, you're not maybe going to get all the best expertise that's out there when it's a slog to get it. You're going to have to move down the list until you find the right people, and then they have to be properly trained, certified, and all the rest of it. Now, I'm not making excuses for government, but we know staffing, as you just alluded to, is a problem across the board. You say, okay, if they can find them for fish plants, you can find them for, but I mean, it's a different kettle of wax, right? Of course, these are all different positions. You can never compare two. But on the surface of it, I mean, we could use an update. I think at the time they said they were looking to fill about 50 new jobs, and I think in early January there were 44 successful that they were looking to hire, and they were getting it done as quickly. We could use an update on that. But I don't know if it's because of that. And, sometimes, Peter, our memories are short. We always say, we hear a lot of times that it's never been this bad. That's always subjective. I mean, we always have bad years. And God knows, God forbid, there should ever be, as you said, an incident where we have to say, our hearts and thoughts and prayers. But there's no question. I mean, we're living a charmed life here in the city where we don't have to make the trek down out over the Trans-Canada Highway in a bus to get to school in the mornings, and especially this time of year. So I hear you 100%. Could use an update on where that staffing is. Is that mainly it? Just how often are you seeing a blade on the road out there, Peter?
Well, it's not about seeing the blade on the road, but it's not as often as it was in the past. We never had no reason to complain about the Southern Harbour Road until now. It was always, we figured it was always in good shape, good condition for snow. But when you get up 11, 12 o'clock in the day and everything is wore into the ground, and when you wear in snow with tires and stuff like that, it just gets more slipperier and stuff like that. That's not acceptable. Like, I'm not asking for 24-hour snow clearing. If you want to do that, okay. All I'm asking for is for safe roads. When you get up like 8 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock, people got to go to work, or just maintain the road so that when at its busiest, make it safe for that time period. I'm not asking for 24 hours, and I never suggested. I don't know, I probably didn't explain myself, but I never suggested you bring in a fish plant worker or a restaurant worker to drive.
No, that's not what I said. That's not definitely what I said.
What I said was, Brian, excuse me now, Brian.
Go ahead.
What I said was, you can find qualified workers if you go look outside the area. They are out there, and they will come and they will go to work, but you got to want to put it in place. Like, if Alberta wants workers, they come to Newfoundland. And maybe if they paid the rate, maybe there's a lot of people in Alberta that come home and go to work. But you can't continue on like this and make excuses. We don't need excuses, and we don't need something to happen to those workers and those kids. Those kids are not making the decision for themselves to go on that bus. They got to go to school. That's all I'm saying. And listen, I got something else to tell you, and I want to clarify it now.
Sure, bye.
I am a member of council in Southern Harbour, okay?
Yep.
But I am not calling on behalf of council. I'm calling as a concerned citizen. I'm not speaking for the other 6 councillors. We discussed it, I guess, somewhat. But you understand what I'm saying? I'm calling as a concerned citizen. I'm not calling as a councillor, because people could get that mixed up, right?
Sure. Although, in most cases, a councillor is wearing the concerned citizen hat, we hope. There's nothing wrong with putting your own personal opinion out there. Everybody knows you're not speaking for other people. Your words are not other people's words. So, I think councillors, that's what we expect them to do. To come on and be a concerned citizen, be the most concerned citizen, really. I think that's why they put you on council. So, what you're doing here now is a service to the people who put you there. So it's all good. I don't think you need to, I just find that, if you're a councillor, you're a concerned citizen. I think they go hand in hand.
Well, I had no other choice but call open line, because that's the voice of the common man.
Absolutely.
And I'm apparently calling the depots and MHAs and transport, Minister of Transport is not working. So, Tony Wakeham, please hear what I'm saying. It's a matter of time.
Heard loud and clear, Peter.
Thank you.
Thanks for the call. All right, Dave, let's see, right up to a couple minutes over the break. I'll do better next time. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the show. Let's go right to line number 3. And John, you're on the air.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Thanks. I think you have roads on your mind, too. Do you this morning?
Yes, so I have to agree with that gentleman. I don't know him. About the roads out there I know I was in Arnold's Cove Friday, and we have a home in Sunnyside. I'm from St. John's. We have a home in Sunnyside 25 plus years now. Right. And I've never seen the roads so bad in the last 25 years as what they are this year out there. Now, I'm not blaming on the drivers of these trucks. They're only told what they can do. But I'm going to tell you now, I drove a bus for years. And if a company said to me, you got to go down to that highway, that road in Sunnyside or Arnold's, come pick up kids, I'd say, listen, you can either fire me or I'm going to quit, because I'm not risking no lives. I'm not joking. In Sunnyside, you could skate on the road.
Yeah, and you're in the same neck of woods, too, as Peter was he's just south of you in Southern Harbour, right?
That's right, and not only that. I come out of Arnold's Cove. I went down to the food land there and picked up a couple of things. And when I was coming up, I just looked and taking time coming along, and the road that's gone over towards the refinery. Now, these transport trucks are hauling thousands of litres of gas and diesel fuel and probably jet fuel, I don't know. And the road, I could have got out and put a pair of skates on and skated down past the refinery. Now, these trucks are travelling this road. If that goes off the road, it's going to be an awful mess or a big explosion, one or the other. Our roads are not being looked after, and they're not. Wakeham promised us that he was going to take care of all these roads. There was all these big election promises, but I'm telling you now, it's the worst. I drove down through there on Sunnyside when Snowmageddon was over. I felt safer driving down over it. You know, I mean, it's something got to be done, and they're saying they're hiring operators, but I know lots of people that can operate any piece of equipment on this island. Now, they don't have grade 12 education, and because of that, I don't think they won't even look at you. You know, I mean, I know people that grew up, I mean, in these machines, basically, can operate better than anybody that's going to go to school for 2 or 3 months type of thing, you know what I'm saying? You know, and it's time. They got to make changes to who they can hire and stuff, and if they can take an operator, put them in a machine, show me what you can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not because you went to school and you got grade 12 education and, you know, maybe a doctor's degree or something. I don't know what the hell. I think what it is, my opinion, they don't want to hire nobody. They're using all kinds of excuses. Every time I see that fella petting on, it's like he's making up excuses to not to hire people. That's my personal opinion.
And that's perfectly it's your right to have one. I can't imagine there's an effort not to hire people and to avoid calls like yours, calls like Peter's, to avoid a tragedy on the highways. I will say, you know, I mean, I know what you're saying, you know, there's people out there who can operate equipment. But boy, you know, if we're going to put them on the road with these massive machines on these roads that are, as you say, ice, and, you know, and passing pretty close. I mean, some of these roads, you don't have much clearance from the car coming the other way on the 2-lane road. So, you know, I don't think we want to be cutting corners. And I'm not saying you said cutting corners, but I think there's some pretty strict certification and training and other, you know, qualifications that we want to make sure that these drivers and these operators have before we just put them out there because we need workers.
I mean, there's workers out there. I know workers they've been doing, like I said, all their life, and they can operate better than anybody around. You know, I mean, just because you don't have a high school education should not be a factor. That's my opinion. You know, I mean, I left St. John's Friday morning, 9 o'clock. I met 2 salt trucks on the highway from St. John's to Sunny. Well, I turned off an Aaron's Call and then I went to Sunnyside. I met 2. Neither one in the westbound lane, only in the eastbound lane. You know, that's not good enough. I don't care what anybody says. The outside lane from Paddy's Pond to Holyrood, people were passing me like I was going the opposite way, and the road was nothing but ice. I mean, you know, and that's another thing. I mean, no police cars on the road. I never seen one. I don't know where they were to. I know they got other things to take care of, but we deserve better on our highways. We need more police on these highways. Every time you turn on the radio, accidents, that's all you hear. You know, and something got to be done. We were promised some kind of more or less a highway patrol. Good luck with that one. That's what I got to say. You know what I mean? And I don't care what political party you're with, you know, what color tie you wear. To me, they're all alike. There's all the same BS. That's what it is. That's when you look at it.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, let's just be clear too. You know, a snapshot in time. People always say, "I never saw a cop on the road. I never saw a truck. I never saw a plow. I never saw a lick of salt." Yep. You know, that's our eyes, our snapshot in time. I'm not saying that what you're saying you didn't see or you did see, but you know, just because you didn't see it at that moment in time doesn't mean they're not out there. I mean, it's worth just saying that part out loud, eh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, to me, it's kind of strange. I can make 10 trips out to the house in Sunnyside, and once on 10 trips I'm going to see a police car like this. Now, we deserve it. I mean, people are driving on these highways. I mean, the Outer Ring Road. I mean, that's got to be the worst. I mean, that
the Autobahn.
Seeing on that, and there's something. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the speed limit on that should be whatever it is with 0 tolerance. But then, if you don't have police on the highway, one's waste time having it anyways.
Speed limits are just speed limits, John. We all know that. I mean, they're going to be, you know, a speed limit is, if you're going to speed, you could care less about the limit. You're just watching out for the blue I was going to say the blue and whites, but you're watching out for the police car on the side of the road or coming the other way. We know what people do, exactly. Right? And the laws are made to be, sadly, to be broken and stretched and pushed to the limit. But look, there's no question the roads issue this time of year should be spoken about. I'm not saying we do it ad nauseum. No. I think we need to know areas. We rely on people like yourself. As you said, drove a bus for years. You have some context to what it's like out there and whether it's worse or better than whatever than years before. But I think we really could use a good update from Department of Transportation just on where the hiring is, where the numbers are right now, whether or not they've been able to staff up to the promises that they promised, and you know, and otherwise we're going to continue to hear from people. And you know, sometimes in government, until something happens, nothing happens.
something serious happens, or God forbid someone gets hurt, and not only a school bus, a car, or anything, an innocent person, even walking on the road. I mean, even one of these drivers that are going down, I mean, if the roads are not salted, I mean, by the highways, and a highway truck is going down there, and all of a sudden, I mean, if it was done early enough, I mean, that truck could tip over and end up out in the ocean down there. You know, so I mean, you got to protect the drivers too, but they're not doing it. That's only my personal opinion, but I mean, something got to be done, and it got to be done soon. I mean, you know, we get all kinds of promises when they look to be elected, but I'm going to tell you, it's certainly changing when it's all over with.
I think we all knew staffing was an issue, so when they made the promise, it was like, well, what's going to change from the last time? I mean, it wasn't much of a change, really. They reinstituted a lot of the routes that the former government had, but as you said, it doesn't matter the color of the stripe. All we want are safe roads, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I know a few people that drive for them. I mean, my son operates with the city of Mount Pearl, so I know lots of drivers at it. I mean, I've been on the go a lot. So, I mean, you know, and they're doing what they can, but you can only do what you're told to do, you know.
Yeah, and you can only do it with
a certain road. That's right.
And the resources that you have, yep.
Exactly, yeah, you know.
All right, John, listen, I appreciate the call. Looking for more callers, again, you know, good, bad, or the ugly. You know, the icy roads out your way might not be so icy in other people's places. I'm sure there are, I mean, as you said, this is not about the drivers. This is about getting more of them.
Yeah. Well, it's opposite down my way off of Torbay Road. I could probably go out and take a broom and a shovel and sweep the salt up and do my own driveway if I wanted to.
Yeah, save yourself a trip to Canadian Tire.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thanks, John. All right, Dave, let's go off to the news, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Open Line. Brian Callahan in for Paddy Daly today. Let's go right to line number 4. And Glovertown Mayor Doug Churchill, you're on the air.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, Doug. How are you?
Well, not too bad. Not too bad.
You're better now. You're better now, are you?
A little bit better this morning. The water has dropped 2 to 3 feet this morning, so it looks promising. But of course, we're not in the woods yet. We don't know exactly what the situation will be as the ice continues to quarry up there. And obviously, the jam is still there. It's just that it seems to rise and fall with the tides.
When did you first become aware that this was was an issue on the weekend?
I would say probably Sunday morning.
And just a phone call, a text, or how did it first come to light? How did it all?
Well,
yeah.
I think, okay. I think everybody kind of realized there was a problem as you drive across the bridge, the Shepherd Memorial Bridge. We, you could see the rising water. You could see it up around the banks, and I think everybody began to be aware of it. But we called our Emergency Preparedness Committee together yesterday evening around 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock.
So have you? I'm just curious now. Not a lot of towns, in the wake of some recent disasters, a lot of communities had these emergency preparedness teams put together. Is this something you've always had, or in response to incidents in past years? I don't know how many towns actually have that committee that they can just, throw together in a second.
It was kind of timely. 3 of our council members actually were in Gander this past week doing the emergency training program, and 2 of us had done the 2-day program, which does exactly what we needed to know, I guess, Sunday evening, and that is, of course, how to set up your emergency preparedness center and to get the contacts and so on. We had already had a plan. Our plan has been in place for years, but I guess in this case, to see it in operation was kind of interesting and certainly worthwhile. There's no doubt about that. It's a good experience in that sense.
Now, when you say in place for years, is this specific just to in the event of an ice jam that might back up?
Oh. No, it could be ice jam, it could be a hurricane, It could be a forest fire. It's a very wide-ranging kind of program. Yeah,
because this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't recall. I mean, I know we have unfortunately, some infamous areas around the province, such as Badger, of course, that we always look to as got to keep an eye on it. And I'm looking, it'd be great to get an update from there too as well to see how they're dealing with the current conditions around the island. But this is a rather newer thing, though. Is it not for the Terra Nova River? I don't know I can't recall something in recent memory. How about yourself?
Well, there has been over the years a number of incidents back to in the 60s, 84, 89, I believe. And, just the river has the same problem, I guess. The ice quarries up at the mouth of the river, and the bay is frozen over. So the water coming down, the ice coming down the river has nowhere to go, and it just builds up there and creates a problem, creates a dam. We've had emergency, situations in the past where we've had to deal with this situation.
So was any work actually done to mitigate this and or was it watch and see, and fortunately the elements took care of itself?
Very much so. The elements took care of it. We kind of were concerned yesterday evening. The water began to cover the Anglebrook Road. There was about 25 homes there. And we were concerned that if it continued to rise and freeze, of course, with the temperatures we have, that we may have to evacuate some of the homes there. So that was our major concern.
How were you able to communicate? I just wondering how you were able to communicate. I think you had fire department going door to door sort of thing?
Exactly. We called our fire department. They were part of our emergency plan and part of our emergency team. So we had them go door to door and let everybody on the street know that there is an issue, and that they would be advised further as to whether there was any real immediate danger. But, if they were at least to check their basements, see if there was any water and these kinds of things, right?
And any reports of damage or anyone that actually had to be displaced or anything like that?
There was no one that needed to be displaced. There was water in several, probably 5 homes and basements and crawl spaces and so on. But fortunately, around 9 o'clock last evening, the water started to subside a little bit. And like I say, now it's down to about 2 to 3 feet below where it was last evening. But we're still not in the woods in terms of what may happen over the next 24, 48 hours, right?
So what's your advice or to people who are listening or to even government? I imagine you have do you have any provincial officials on the ground monitoring along with you, or?
We've had a couple of conversations with our MHA, Minister Lloyd Parrott, and he's offered whatever assistance he can. We've been talking to Transportation and Works. They were at the table with us yesterday. We've had the emergency services group. They've been involved and so on. So everybody's kind of been on the ground with us, and including the RCMP and our own public works, of course. So we've been trying to keep everybody informed, and we've been watching all night long. We had a couple of people of our public works crew there keeping an eye on the water and the levels, and we'll continue to do that during the day, and during the night, I guess, if necessary as well.
Yeah, so the conditions, hopefully we'll get a bit of a break for everybody and try to thaw things out a little bit. Doug, anything else that, your residents should know? And, I guess tense times for you. How are you feeling about it all?
Well, it's always scary. We were concerned yesterday evening, for instance, that there was no other access out other than by the bridge for the people on Anglebrook Road. But one of our firemen went in yesterday evening and drove to the Trans-Canada. There's a road through there that is not maintained by the town, but it is accessible, and he drove through there in his pickup. So, there is a way out of there if we had to with an emergency. But we're thinking that with the extent of the road and the width of the road and the length of the road, that the water may continue to cross the road if it had to without creating any real serious problem. That you may be able to drive through 3 or 4 inches of water. But we're hoping that it doesn't come to anything like that.
Yeah, we all are, and I'm sure there are other towns and cities, but towns and communities across the province who, I'm sure at some point and to some extent are dealing with a lot of this stuff with the conditions. I guess we'll have to keep an eye on it, as I'm sure you will. I appreciate the call, Doug. Thanks for the update on this. Anything else? Message for the residents? How do you what's the easiest way to keep in touch? I mean, door to door can be a process, to say the least. Is there a local way that you're keeping in touch with everybody?
Well, we have, like you say, the immediate action, of course, last night to make sure that everybody was contacted was the door-to-door. We do the Facebook, of course, and our town Facebook as a page, of course, or an information update continuously. We also have the Voyant Alert, which we've been using excessively or consistently, if you like, over the last little while. Unfortunately, again, we don't have everybody signed up to the program, so they're not getting the notifications that they should be getting.
Can you say that alert again? What was that one? What do you refer to it as?
It's called Voyant Alert.
And not everybody...
Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Not everybody in town has signed up to it. We've sent out notices and so on, and it's on our Facebook page, and people can call the town and get the updates. So these updates would come then on a regular basis, right?
Right. What, on their phones or?
They can have it on their phones, or it can come through a email post and so on, whatever they would prefer.
All right, good idea then. So get in touch with the town if you're not on that system, needless to say.
Exactly.
Doug Churchill, Mayor of Glovertown, thanks for the update. We'll keep us posted on any changes in that on the circumstances.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it ourselves. Thank you very much. All right, Dave, right on the break. Let's see. When we come back, we got a few callers in the queue. We'll get right to them right after the break. Welcome back to the program. Let's go right to line number one. David Tutton with the NL Beekeeping Association. You're on the air.
Thank you. How are you this wonderful day?
Great, David. Love nothing better than to talk about bees on a day like today. I'm sure not a lot of them are listening, but that's okay. We can talk about them while they're all having a nap.
Well, about 2 weeks ago when we had those 13-degree temperatures, my bees were out flying. But today at -11, no, they're sitting inside their little wooden boxes with their feet up by the fire, keeping warm, because they're sensible.
It's a lot more we can say for ourselves. So, David, we know that a third of the world's food production depends on bees. I don't know if we always think about it, but a third of the world's food production. What do you want to say?
But more importantly, have you got a cup of coffee in front of you?
I do.
If it wasn't for bees, you wouldn't have the coffee. Terror, absolute terror.
It is. Don't take away my caffeine, please.
But we look at this, and it's a day to celebrate, and it's a day to look forward. You've had a lot of things about roads and what have you on the show this morning, and problems and things. But I think it's a day to be hopeful, to look forward to a wonderful summer coming up ahead, and we just hope it's going to be a little bit wetter than last summer was. But we're planning all sorts of things to go ahead, and today is a special day, and I'd like to say hello and greetings to my Australian friends who celebrate Australia Day today, and to my Indian friends, the country where I grew up, who are celebrating Republic Day. Both countries looking at their past and celebrating what they have and looking to the future. And we also are looking to the future, and we've got all sorts of plans and things made here that we're looking forward to. We've got courses coming up. In Western Newfoundland, in Corner Brook, we have a brand new Beekeeping for Beginners course, which is 5 sessions starting on the 5th of February to the 5th of March, every Thursday evening, 7 to 9 p.m. at the Corner Brook Baptist Church in their basement at 11 O'Connell Drive. And you can sign up for that on our website. And it tells you all about beekeeping, and it's going to be a fantastic course. We did it here in St. John's last year, and now we're letting the folks in Corner Brook do that. You can go in person, which is what we highly recommend, but it is also available on Zoom. And if you sign up for that, not only do you sign up for that course, but you also sign up for membership with us for a year. So we've got that coming up. We've got our annual general meeting for the Newfoundland and Labrador Beekeeping Association is coming up the first weekend in May in Springdale, where our regional director, Troy Coombs, who's a great guy, he and his wife are looking forward and looking after the preparation for our annual general meeting. And we want that in rural Newfoundland this year, which makes a bit of a change from the 3 cities we normally have it in a hope that we can bring in some of the rural folks in who really are interested in bees and get them involved and show them what we're doing, and we can talk about what our plans are for the future. So we've got that happening. we've got our membership drive happening right now. So people to renew their memberships and get going, because their contributions to us go together for teaching in the classroom. We go out and we help with the agriculture and the classroom programs and actually talk about bees, pollinators, etc. in many schools across the province. And this helps us to raise the funds to do that and to help with the bee industry, both backyard beekeepers and commercial beekeepers, with government policies and government legislation, etc., to help the industry develop here in Newfoundland. We think right now there's approximately 2,000 beehives looked after by beekeepers in the province. We haven't got an absolute solid definite number, but we think that there's about 2,000, which is absolutely fantastic.
I'm thinking you should. I was just going to say, I think you should almost make a cooperative or join up with the Positive Thinkers Club, because that's all I'm getting out of you right now. The positive thinking towards the summer and warmth and bees. Anyway, keep going. The information is precious.
We've got more coming up. We've actually got something on the books right now, and we're going to say, keep an eye out. Come and look at our website. We've got both a website, nlbeekeeping.com, and we have a Facebook page for the Newfoundland beekeepers. Keep an eye on those, because we've got a very exciting program coming up. A junior beekeeping association is going to start off here on the Avalon, and we hope to spread it across the province in the years to come. But we're going to start it very soon here on the Avalon for young folks from the age of 9 to 14, to get them involved in beekeeping, teach them about the environment, teach them about bees, and to help to train them and get them aware of what's going on. It's a fantastic program, and we're going to be doing that. We've already partnered with a junior beekeeping group in Ontario, and so we're sharing ideas, and that is promising to be absolutely wonderful. We're looking for a few sponsors to help us with that, but that is something to look forward to, and to reach out and give us a hand. And if you've got young people between 9 to 14 who'd be interested in that, keep an eye on the site. We're not taking names yet, but we will soon, and we believe that's going to fill up pretty quickly. And that's going to be in St. John's this year. And then we hope to develop it on and keep that going, and then develop it also in the other portions of the province. So we got a lot going on. There's all sorts of fun things happening, and I just wanted to point all of that out. Have you got any questions?
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering, in this, I see lots of reports fly across my screen here and there and the other about environment and climate change and how that's affecting bee colonies. How are they thriving? Are they thriving here? Is it a greater task than it used to be?
Isn't there a song that says something about, thank God we're surrounded by water?
Yes, there is.
We are so fortunate to be an island. And yes, I say hi to my friends up in Labrador who are part of us. And yes, we have beekeepers up there as well who are part of our association. But we are one of the very few places in the world that do not have that destructive varroa mite. We also don't have small hive beetles. We don't have tracheal mites. We don't have wax moth. We have probably some of the healthiest bees in the world, and we want to keep it that way. There is legislation there that prohibits the importation of any insect into Newfoundland, and we want to keep it that way. And yes, our bees are quite healthy. Now, you get days like today, yes, we're going to have losses. You get to several weeks like we've had with storm after storm, there's going to be damage. There's going to be debris flying around that will hit a hive and break it open, and we don't get to it in time to rescue it. Yes, there's going to be floods. There's going to be forest fires and what have you. And yes, we do lose beehives. But for the most part, we are doing pretty well here, and we are very grateful, and we hope to keep it that way. And we are trying our best to help each other out, to support each other in this industry, and to reach out to the general public and let people know how important bees are, not just our honeybees, but our native species as well, in the pollination of the things that we find so important in our lives. They keep our environment going. We just don't realize how important they are.
David, what are just quickly now before we get to the break, what are your numbers right now? So how many people are actually beekeeping or invested into this right now in the province?
Oh, that's a really difficult one to say. I could tell you that we have within our organization, within the NLBKA, somewhere about 200 or so people registered with us. But we don't have, all beekeepers are not members of our association. And our provincial apiarist also has lists of people who are registered with her and that are not registered with us. So it's a really difficult figure to come up with. But it is spreading rapidly, and there are more and more people getting involved all the time. And I'm sure after this phone call, after this talk, I will have a number of phone calls, and we will get a number of emails saying, we're interested, sign me up, or can we talk to somebody? And it happens every single time, and then it takes us a little bit of time to get back to everybody and link them up, because part of our teaching sessions, we try to link them up with a mentor to look after them for the first year after they've taken a course, so that if they have an issue after they've learnt the book stuff and learnt the hands-on, then we're there to help them through all of the difficulties of the first year, which is so important.
Yeah, well, first of all, you're welcome. And second of all, just my last question really is, okay, so people are listening to this, as you say, you get calls. I imagine one of the first questions is this a full-time thing? Is it a part-time? Can I take it and still carry out my career? Is this something that I have to be 24/7 monitoring? What kind of commitment is involved?
Well, that depends on you. I am a backyard beekeeper. I've got 15 hives of my own, but I have my own job. I do my own stuff as well. So, yes, you can do that. And it depends on where you are. There are different policies by different towns as to how many hives you can have and where you can put them, etc., on your property. So you've got to bear that in mind. But then there are commercial beekeepers that this is most of their life, that they do this full time. So it really is up to you how much time you want to invest in it. But it is absolutely great. There's nothing, I find in the summertime, there's nothing more relaxing than to go out in the morning with my camp chair, sit right beside one of my hives with a cup of coffee sweetened with honey, and listen to the bees. The sound of the bees is totally soothing. And going to that, there are some of our beekeepers have got bee houses where the beehives are contained within a building. They have access to the outside, but inside you can lie down on a bed and listen to the sound of the bees, and it has a relaxing thing. There's all sorts of bee therapy, apiotherapy. There's pollen and there's honey, medicinal honey and medicinal properties that are all part of the beekeeping thing. And we have commercial beekeepers here who actually are selling some of these products, who are promoting some of these products. And it really is a wonderful thing here in Newfoundland that we are developing. And it's just fantastic. But it's up to you how much time you want to give it.
Absolutely. David Tutton, the NL Beekeeping Association. So it's nlbeekeeping.com. I'm looking at it here now. You got 5-session educational series coming up. Let's see, February 5th, as you said, is the first one in Corner Brook, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And all the information is there. Go ahead.
I'm asking you sign up before February the 2nd for that.
You got it. Before Groundhog Day.
You got it.
You got it. David, thanks very much. Love talking about bees. Not so much wasps, I got to be honest with you.
No, I don't like wasps either. But
Sure.
bees are fantastic. Remember this, there are people who are scared because they've been stung by a wasp and they think they're the same thing. A wasp can sting you multiple times and has no reason to do so. A bee will only sting you once because it then dies. So it doesn't want to sting you. It only stings either to protect its hive or because you've cornered it and squatted and attacked it. Then it will sting to say, get out. So its neighbors, its friends don't get attacked by you as well. A bee is usually pretty docile and will not attack you if you don't attack it. You can lie down on the grass and take photographs of them close up as they're in the clover or in your flowers or whatever, and they will not mind. They sit there and they smile at you and allow you to take their picture.
I understand.
A wasp, on the other hand, no.
Yeah, they're just doing it for badness. David Dutton, I appreciate the call. Thanks so much. I hope you get a flood of them now and more interest in the Beekeeping Association in the province. Thanks for a call.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much for all that you do for us. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you. All right, Dave, a couple of minutes beyond there. Sorry about that. Off to the break. Welcome back to the program. And, of course, I got a couple of messages here saying off the top, mentioned some sports, but didn't mention the Super Bowl and the NFL, of course. That's just because I had callers. But, of course, the Patriots and the Seahawks are going for a big rematch in the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks. That's going to be something. A lot of people are surprised that the Pats are back in the Super Bowl so soon, you know, after the dynasty with that was Belichick and Brady, and now here they are back in the show for a big old fancy rematch. It's going to be a great game. All right, let's go back to line number 2, back to the calls. And Sam, you're on the air. Sorry.
Yes, good morning, Brian. How are you today?
Good, sir. Thawing out, as best I can put it.
Oh, good. Yes, like all of us, yeah. Brian, I wanted to mention this morning about food fishery again, right? I wanted to try to keep that on the air.
Sure.
Because there was just about 10,000 people, approximately, how they did the survey that the minister had out, which I was really delighted to see. But now with the commercial fishery starting up and everything, and you know there's always a kerfuffle every year when they start up, so I'm hoping the food fishery is not going to get lost in the mix-up with that, right? And I talked to DFO there last week, and the lady was telling me that where it was over 10,000 people, there was a lot of the survey, people wanted open every day during the week, and they would like to see the increase in everything in the quota. But the part that I'm really concerned with is that if we get this big change, that we can go out every single day during the week, not just on the weekends. Because on the weekends, you don't know if it's going to be civil enough to go out. And a lot of people go out sometimes when it's not that safe to do so. And you got a lot of people that work weekends, shift workers, things like that, that don't get an opportunity to go out on the weekend. And you got people away that like to try to sometimes schedule their holidays for coming home to Newfoundland and be able to go out and catch a few fish for themselves. So I'm just hoping it's not going to get lost in among the commercial fishery now, where they're starting up. And it was only last week there was a lot of talk on the go with that. But I was encouraged though when I talked to the lady at the FO, and she seemed pretty positive about it, right? And with all the comments that they had. So I think it might be, if we have any chance whatsoever to get those changes, this is the time that we should be able to get them.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, the feds launched that survey last, I think it was in late October, maybe November, I can't remember right now. And it just closed, I think, a week and a half ago or 2 weeks. By all accounts, you know, for those who say, oh, you know, why are we going on with the food fishery again? I mean, just, you know, what's the big deal? But they had record engagement, apparently, according to DFO. They had more responses than they ever expected. Record-breaking engagement, I think they called it. Highest participation, any DFO survey to date. So for those who believe that, you know, it's waning and it's just not as big a deal as it used to be, boy, it's out there. And more than, I think, almost 10,000 fully completed surveys. And like 100 or 2 written responses. So people were engaged, to say the least. You know, a lot of people talking about the bag limits and different things. Do you want the bag limit raised to 10 fish? and to be open every day and that sort of thing. I mean, we know there have been discrepancies between the rules here and the rules in the other provinces in the Maritimes, Nova Scotia, and that sort of thing. So we'll see. I mean, at least they went through the trouble to get this survey out there and to ask people whether or not, do you have any faith that it'll be all fully taken into consideration and improvements made?
Yeah, I got a funny feeling this is going to be this time that we are going to get some improvements made. We may not get everything that we're looking for, but I do think that we will get, there will be some good changes coming out of this. At least I hope so, anyhow, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big ones, of course, being locked into a specific date or something when, I mean, in the past, it never, ever took into consideration the unpredictability of weather, for example.
No.
And the safety problems and the risks that pose. So there's lots that can be done and improved and cleared up. I think it's just been like kind of an afterthought in many ways. Hate to say it, but for DFO over the years, not really, I think. And I've been covering... I hosted a certain fishery show for a while with another network, and it was the same issues have always been there, and the importance of it to the province. But I always believed there was a disconnect between here and what it meant and how it should be prosecuted. As far as the disconnect between here and Ottawa. I mean, it's long complaints. So the survey is a good step. Let's hope it's not just window dressing and they actually. Put the pen to paper and take these things into consideration, make the improvements where people want them.
Oh, definitely. And like I say, right now, one of the big things is, got to be done in a timely fashion. You can't wait until the end of June and put it out like every other year. Probably the evening before we get the announcement, oh yes, there is going to be food, fishery, go ahead, or recreation, whatever some people would like to call it, right? But that's all I'd like to say on this morning. I'm just hoping now that you make quick decisions on it and announce it good and early so that people can make plans for it.
Yes, that's the other issue, of course, too.
In a safe way.
And they won't even have to announce it so early if they'll just make it a little bit more consistent. I mean, announce it early, yes, when the opening is, but not all the little blocks of time that you can go out, like the 10 weeks that you get, or from Saturday to Monday, and this time to that, and the 5 fish per boat person, or 15 fish per boat. Any kind of restrictions on that has always been kind of galling for all of us here when you look at what the odd factory freezer trawler takes underneath our noses off to,
Yeah, I mean, that's worked with on the boats for years, right, too. Yeah. And one tow that you see coming in on a big trawler, that's more fish than would be taken all throughout the summer by people just going out and trying to catch a few fish with a hook and line. Right now, it's unbelievable when you come down and you see the amount, right? I
mean, I know there are two different, we're talking two different kettles of fish, so to speak, excuse the pun.
Yes.
But the reality is, in our world, when you've grown up and lived here and watched that happen, you can't help but equate the two on an unequal basis, what's going off on outside the 2 or inside the 200, and then yet what we're not allowed to do here. I mean, it's always been a kind of a in the craw, sticks in the craw is like, who are you to tell me that I can't go out and have them? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, it sure do, because I've been sitting at my summer place all during the week, beautiful days, calm waters and everything. Friday even come, the wind come up, and you got that thing for the rest of the weekend. And most people don't even won't even bother to go out then, right? Yeah. Because it's too windy and too lappy just for standing up in your open boat. So hopefully we're going to see good things happen.
Absolutely. And again, like the beekeepers too, can't wait to get to that time of the year when we can actually be thinking and practicing it in real practice into those warmer temperatures and hopefully better weather, safer weather on the water.
Yes, indeed so. Well, I'd like to thank you for your time this morning and be looking forward to an announcement, hopefully coming fairly soon.
Absolutely, Sam. I hope they take some of these. I'm sure there have been a lot of great suggestions made through that survey, so hopefully they take some of it into account. Thanks for the call.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Sam.
Bye.
All right, Dave, a few minutes over there. Sorry about that. Let's get to the break. Come right back with Sarah talking about the NL Query Research Initiative right after the break. And welcome back to the show. Let's go right to line number 4 and say good morning to the founder and executive director of the NL Queer Research Initiative, Sarah Worthman. Good morning, Sarah. You're on the air.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
As I've repetitively and ad nauseum said, thawing out. That's all I can tell you.
Well, I have a way, that's what I'm calling about, because I have a way people can hopefully thaw out a little bit better in the next 3 weeks.
Oh, bring it on.
All right. Yeah, so I'm calling about our Hot Chocolate Festival. So it's a fundraiser for the NL Queer Research Initiative. Basically, we've got 17 vendors signed on, so businesses all across the city and like the metropolitan area. And they all have their own hot chocolate entry in the festival that people can try. So it's a good excuse to get out of your house, even though the cold makes it less than optimal, and try out the hot chocolate for a good cause.
Sarah, you had me at hot. Let's just give me all, where did this all come from? Tell me the genesis of it all.
Yeah, so I went on a trip actually last February with my sister. We went to go see NOAACon in Vancouver, and so it was around the same time as the Vancouver Hot Chocolate Festival. And I remember thinking when I found out about it, I was like, well, this is genius. We need something like this on the East Coast. And you know, there's like a bunch on the West Coast of different hot chocolate festivals, but there's only one in Moncton on the East Coast, and I just think it would do so well in Newfoundland and Labrador because we love supporting local. We love an excuse to get out of our houses in the winter. Well, I shouldn't say we need an excuse to get out of our houses. Yeah, it's been really amazing. When we first kind of pitched it to businesses, I was like, okay, if we get 5, we can start the festival. And now I have people, you know, that you're still emailing me being like, is it too late to join? So yeah, it's really been amazing. And I was on last week talking about it with Patty, and he put a bit of a challenge. He was like, okay, well, how creative can you get with hot chocolate? Like, how many different kinds of hot chocolate can they really come up with? And honestly, I think some of the people some of the vendors might have been listening, because there's some really, really creative entries in here that honestly, I don't even know how they came up with them.
So this begins today, goes to February 15th, yep. Is it?
Yep, so it's today until February 15th, and you can vote online, so it's like the burger battle.
Right.
So you go and try all the different hot chocolates. You vote online for your favorite hot chocolate, which will get the inaugural title of the best hot chocolate of 2026, and then the second category is the most creative hot chocolate that you can vote for. Okay,
so what do? You come up with a recipe, and then what? Let's take it right from the very basics, because I'm also interested in hear some of, as you mentioned, Patty's challenge. I'm also interested in hear some of the unique ones. And does any of it include Grand Marnier or Kahlua?
No, unfortunately, we do not have a liquor license.
Just being clear about that.
Some of these vendors do, but just to make that known, NL Liquor Board, if you're listening.
Yeah. I thought we should get that out of the way because it's where my brain went. I'm sorry.
I mean, and maybe next year, you know, if the paperwork aligns.
Yeah.
But no, there's some really creative options. I don't know how they come up with them, honestly. I can't speak from the creative end. I'm more so the end of building the website, building the voting tools, getting the word out. But, you know, there's one that is Postmasters kind of stands up as one of the creative ones to me. It's a Lucky Charm mocha base. So it's like cereal milk, coffee, and hot chocolate. Which to me is breakfast. So really you need an excuse to eat it early in the morning. And there's some other ones, like Toslo has campfire cocoa. So it's like inspired by like s'mores. There's like a creme brulee one at Bistro 515, which is, I think, quite near you guys at VOCM, just down the road.
That's correct.
Yep. And the Earl, the one that is really curious to me, it was an ingredient I didn't even hear about, but it's Alder Catkins hot chocolate. It's like a local herb that's grown. Terre Cafe is doing it, and apparently it's very it's almost like a spicy, peppery flavor. I haven't tried that one, but I'm really curious to try it out.
Yeah, I don't go beyond the basic, but I have a daughter who just can't get enough of it, and I might start mixing in some, try to get some variety from all of these I'm seeing that are posted online. And $1 for this, every hot chocolate purchase goes back to the organization. Is that correct?
Exactly. Every single hot chocolate, $1 will go back to us, and it funds the work we do for the 2S LGBTQ community in the province, including our library, which now has 400 books related to the community, and our digital archive.
And are you still, I recall a book that you were doing on the First World War and Canadian soldiers, like experience, but is that still in, is that done? I'm sorry if I'm dated, but I do my best to keep on the go.
No. Yeah, that's more my personal project, so we're not doing it as the organization. But yes, I'm hopefully getting my manuscript, my first draft, pitching it in the next couple of weeks. So
right, this is on the persecution,
that is more
right?
like me as a researcher. Yeah. So that's me as a researcher more so than the organization. But
right,
yeah, it's the persecution, and oh my God, I'll have to call in once that's done, because I'm going to get distracted from and go off on all kinds of tangents, but
and that's 100% my fault. It's the first thing that came to mind.
No, I love it.
That's what happens when I'm just in the news world all day and not the open line world. I remember your name from something, and then I go, "Oh, that was that. That's not what this is. This is hot chocolate." Let's stay on the hot chocolate. That's a way more appetizing subject, to say the least. So, what's the
Absolutely.
just the ins and outs of it one more time. So I know it starts today, goes to February 15th. What's the quickest and easiest way that people can get their recipe out there?
All right, so you go on, so not the recipe.
Not the recipe, but
you have to try it. Yeah, so you go to our website, Hot Chocolate, YYT, so it's like our airport code, .ca. And then the full list is up there. We're calling it the Hot Chocolate Directory. It's got everything about each recipe with a little blurb, whether or not it's gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, and the address, so you can know where to find it. As well, you can vote through the website, and we'll be sharing things on our social media too. Hot Chocolate Fest YYT on Instagram, and St. John's Hot Chocolate Festival on Facebook.
Oh God, yum! That's all I can say. I just got the taste. The coffee was great this morning, but I'm going to have to fill up now after the show.
Yeah,
Sarah,
and there's lots of I was going to say, don't worry about not wanting to stray from the traditional, because there's also a lot of really great traditional ones. Craig's cookies. There's a really good hazelnut kind of. I don't think they're allowed to say it for copyright, but it's Nutella inspired hot chocolate. And strawberry, there's like a strawberry dream, which comes with a chocolate-covered strawberry on top at the Bagel Cafe.
Oh, God. Okay, I've got a few stops to make on the way home. That's it.
Yeah.
Sarah Worthman with the NL Queer Research Initiative, and, of course, with the Hot Chocolate Festival. Thanks so much for this. I need more of these calls when I'm filling in for Patty, because I could talk hot chocolate all day. Thank you for this, and good luck with it all.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, you too. All right, that's Sarah Worthman with the NL Queer Research Initiative. Get your hot chocolate now, and check out the list online. Dave, let's off to the news. We'll be right back.
You're listening to a rebroadcast of VOCM Open Line. Have your say by calling 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626 and listen live weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
Welcome back to the final hour of Open Line for this Monday, January the 26th. Brian Callahan in for Patty today. Just quickly before we get to our next caller, so Newfoundland Labrador Hydro's latest post on the situation, Bay d'Espoir and the grid. The power watch has now been lifted. So in essence, that basically means everything is back to normal, really, for now, and that is great news, great positive, more progress on the work that they've been doing, the yeoman's work they've been doing out at the Bay d'Espoir plant. So the statement just issued by Hydro there a short time ago, system continues to improve. Pleased to confirm the power watch is lifted. As we always do, continue to monitor the status of our assets. We are now entering more normal operations, and no customer action or alerts are required at this time. Of course, it's always good to conserve, and in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking it'll be interesting to see what some of the power bills will be like next month, just to see if they reflect to people, whether or not it was their consumption, lack of consumption, more consumption, because we have been told, of course, that the most logical explanation for all the spikes in power bills is the colder weather. And even though people conserved, I know my baseboard worked a little harder on the weekend when it was showing it was 20. I had around 22, 23, and it was still only 18 in the room. So she was working hard. It'll be interesting to see what the bills will be like. Let's go to line number 3, and Lisa with United Way. You're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How are you doing besides cold?
I'm warmer here in the studio, but I'll tell you, I gotta get in. I always look for that great pair of gloves because I lose a pair every year, and I'm always looking for a good pair, and I haven't quite nailed it this year yet. My tips of my fingers are still a little cold this morning, but hey, if that's all I got.
That's right. Brian, I just wanted to give a quick call today just to kind of, I guess, a bit of a PSA, I suppose. Of course, United Way Newfoundland and Labrador raises funds in the community, and then we distribute those funds back into the communities of Newfoundland and Labrador. And we do that once a year, and that time is right now. So our community fund grant applications are open, and they have been for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, I think. They're closing on the 29th, so I just kind of wanted to hop on here today and let the charitable groups across Newfoundland and Labrador know that there's opportunities for funding, and we'd love to see some applications coming in from all areas of the province. Of course, as a provincial organization, we want to make sure that we're representing Newfoundland and Labrador in its entirety. So I just wanted to kind of put a little reminder out there to everybody that we've got funds available, and we want to see some applications coming in from all over.
Can you give me just a bit of a sample of like the categories and what people could be, people could be eligible for? Just the most, common ones across the board.
Yeah, definitely. So United Way Newfoundland and Labrador, we fund programs and projects that fall under 3 particular focus areas. And one of those is All That Kids Can Be. So any program that, helps ensure that our children and youth are getting the best opportunities and steps forward for the best in life. And then we have Poverty to Possibilities. So, and that one's pretty self-explanatory. And then we have Healthy People, Strong Communities. And that one's also kind of, it's pretty wide, but basically, we're looking at mental health programs. We're looking at, as I said, programs for children, opportunities for seniors. Oh my goodness, so many. It's such a broad category. So it's great, but it's also a little bit confusing sometimes.
Yeah.
But, typically, things that we have funded in the past, we've supported, again, after-school programs, aimed at teaching young women about STEM sciences. We've funded programs for the Boys and Girls Club. We've supported some 50-plus clubs over the years. A lot of these clubs are opportunities for our seniors to get out and enjoy some social interaction that maybe many of them don't have that opportunity for without these clubs. So we're really proud to be able to support a variety of initiatives that make sure, our communities are inclusive, people feel connected, and that people are getting the things that they need to live a happy and beneficial life. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at, just some numbers, but I also, it struck me, when I saw that you were coming on the air, I just wanted to update myself on United Way because we all know the term. It's ubiquitous. We've always heard of it, but it's now under a bit of a different brand. Is it not United Way Centrade? When did that sort of come into being?
Well, Centrade is kind of what I like to refer to as the mothership.
Okay.
United Way Centrade. Of course, United Way is a global organization. However, what I think is really important for people to know and understand is that every chapter of United Way is specific to its own area. So I know for us, we are the only United Way in Newfoundland and Labrador. So whatever we raise here stays here. A lot of times people will think, oh, well, that's not staying here. That's going, overseas, or it's going somewhere else, or it's going to Ottawa. It's not. I can assure you that funds that are raised here in Newfoundland and Labrador stay here in Newfoundland and Labrador. So since 2004, we've actually invested through our community fund grants over $8 million back into the province through community fund grants. Wow. So that's pretty stellar. So even though we are, like I said, housed under the mothership, we are 100% local to United Way, or to Newfoundland and Labrador.
Yeah, these organizations, and it's interesting you mentioned that the money stays here in the province. That's become a pretty important issue for people, when they're giving these days, especially when people have less money, disposable income, shall we say, than we might have had before, and you're really trying to pick your spots and make the dollar go as far as it can, and know that it's helping. No offense to other parts of the country, but we have our own needs and and issues here. So I think it's such an important speaking point and communication part for your places like organizations like yourself, United Way, or Red Cross, or Salvation Army, and all these other organizations. Do you all sort of work hand in hand? I mean, you're not competing for each other, obviously, for the money. But
no, I mean, of course, Newfoundland is, a lot of people will say Newfoundland is small. We're small, but we've got a big land mass, and we are trying to support all the regions of the province. So we're not here to compete with charities. We're here to support the charities. Yeah. So, when people apply to us for funding, for community fund grants, that's helping them fill a gap that they've not been able to address prior to it. Maybe it just didn't fit in their budget. Maybe it didn't, fit into their plans for this particular year. So that's where we can come in and really enhance what's happening in the community. Even things that people don't think about, even like to funding freezers for a food bank, to be able to allow that food bank then to have the opportunity to offer, meats and fish and other frozen items is so important for the overall well-being, and ensuring that people are not just getting, just cans or whatever, right? So there's definitely there's a lot of opportunities for charities to come to us with projects or things that they need support with, that we can really help fill those gaps for them, for sure.
Can't say enough of how important organizations like yourselves are in this day and age, when people are looking for different outlets and different sources to try to supplement the difficult times that a lot of people are going through. Just great work. Can't have enough of these organizations, and I think sometimes we take them for granted that they're there, but another option for people going through a rough time. And you can go on the United Way .ca site and the NL site as well and see different stories there. I'm looking at one by a Pam story and Sita's story, and on and on and on to go. People who need that support. Yep.
Yeah, so you can always visit unitedwaynl.ca, and then I would also encourage, obviously, if anybody is looking to, support us, we would love to help you facilitate that donation. Yeah. But for charities who are looking for support, please visit our website. It's under our community fund application section, so that's unitedwaynl.ca. And if you need any help or anything going through those applications, because sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming, reach out to us. We're here to support in any way that we can.
That's fantastic. Lisa with United Way, thanks so much. Really appreciate the call. Go to United Way and the NL and look up your grant applications. Thanks very much for the call.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, Dave, let's take the break and we'll come back with a different type of ice, different type of bad ice. We'll have Bill right after the break. And welcome back to Open Line. Just before we get to our next caller, the federal government has indeed unveiled a hike or boost in the GST credit as part of their new affordability measures. Just news coming out of Ottawa now. Let's see. They're calling it the Canada Groceries and Essentials Benefit. So the quarterly GST, that'll see an increase of 25% over the next 5 years, and will also include the one-time top-up that has been talked about. Let's see, about 50% of the annual this June. And according to Ottawa, so roughly a family of four would get about $1,900 this year with the increases, and that's compared to about $1,100 last year, so about $800 more as the credit existed or exists now. And a single person would get $950 in total this year compared to the $540 they would have gotten last year. Anyway, that's just some of the early numbers. I'm sure we'll have more. Sarah Strickland in the newsroom is working hard on that to break down the numbers and bring us a wrap of it at the top of the hour or even at the bottom of the hour. Let's go right to line number 4. And Bill, you're on the air.
Yes, Sean, is this?
Brian. Sean's the brother.
Okay, yeah, Brian, yes. Yeah, I've read your book, The Mental. Was that called?
Growing Up Next to the Mental, absolutely.
Yes, that was pretty good. I really enjoyed that.
Appreciate that, thanks.
Yeah, I was saying, there's an old saying that says if it walks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, I think, is that how that goes?
Yes, it is.
If it walks like a duck and sounds like a duck, it's probably a duck.
I think it's apropos for what you're about to talk about. Yes. Yes,
I think it's what I'm saying is like what's going on down in the States and Trump and he's just not. He's not only just an obnoxious person and stuff like that, but he's I think now he's a menace now. I think, and I think he spreads a lot of lies. Okay, and I don't think I'm right. I'm wrong in saying that a lot of people caught him out on a lot of lies, and he lies a lot, and like this whole thing that's going on in Minnesota now. It's all about immigration. This is what people are protesting. They're protesting that their neighbors and their friends, I guess, and stuff like that. People who live next to them are getting snapped up and getting carted away, and they use the term roundup, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's all, a lot of it's whenever you hear the administration or his, I think, lady that say the word lady, but Krista Noem or something. She says they always say, these are all violent criminals, and they got them all painted as violent criminals. So they've dehumanized them, officially the Trump administration, right? And then they send in all these guys with masks on their face, and they call it a surge. They send in a nice surge, and so these guys are unidentifiable, and a lot of people think that some of these guys are from those January 6 guys, the guys that went in and stormed the Capitol building, and a lot of Proud Boys and people from the KKK and known racists, and now what we got and then Trump tries to push down on dissent, like Jimmy Kimmel, he tried to have him removed from the air because he's talking out against him, and that backfired. And I think there was an ABC report about a month ago that got canned because so what I'm saying is all these things it sounds like fascism, okay? I mean, Hitler and Goebbels, they spread a lot of lies about people. They said the Jews, they compared to the vermin and stuff, like they worked up the crowd against them. And I think they're doing the same thing with all these migrants, all these people, that kind of thing. And now we had the real example, because I saw it on Saturday. I saw a guy that was pointing his camera at people, and documenting what was going on. And then the woman next to him got shoved to the ground, and he went to her aid, and then they wrestled him to the ground. And then they pinned him down, 5 or 6 guys, and then he had a gun in his holster on his back, and they took that, but he was allowed to have that, and they took that away from him. And then after they took away from him, there was 10 rounds. They shot him, they killed him. And I think a lot of people saw it. I'm not the only person that saw it. So I think we need, we can't soft pedal this. What's going on down in the States, and what this administration is doing, and the nature of its administration is it smells like fascism, and it sounds like fascism, and that's how it is. That's, I guess, in our own time now we're seeing it firsthand. So people saw this stuff before, back in 39, and I guess a lot of people were saying, well, they're just doing their job, and their people are there, they're illegal, and they're protecting us from all these violent criminals. Little 5-year-old boy's a violent criminal, and I mean, that man they shot, that guy who was an ICU nurse, just out documenting, and he went to the aid of a woman, and he got killed for it.
Yeah, and I mean, the president commented on one part of it that he didn't like the optics of a 5-year-old boy being carted away by ICE agents. But the hypocrisy knows no ends to this, Bill. First of all, I'll always go back to the statement, and as a reporter for 3 decades, you always talk about 5 different people could see a simple T-bone at Rollins Cross, and you'll get 5 different accounts of how that happened. And for people to be judging at all, I don't care how many camera angles of video you have of these shootings, both of them, tragic shootings. Well, it was Renee Good or this man now Preddy. The hypocrisy of On one hand, the officials will stand up there and will say, this was a guy, and stand up and make the assumption, or not just the assumption, the blatant statement, that this was a man who came to do maximum damage, massacre law enforcement, mind you, with a handgun, which carried legally. Those are the only facts that we can really put out of this are what we don't know. And the point is, nothing should be judged. I've been drilled into reporters that no assumptions can be made until investigations are done and completed. They decided in the Renee Good they're not even going to do an investigation. And again, I would, in a perfect world, everybody would wait until, and nobody has any confidence in the investigation, of course, so let's look at it that way. But to make assumptions from what we saw, I saw all the videos as well. You see one of the law enforcement pull away with a handgun. We don't even know that actually came from the man who was wrestled to the ground. What is undeniable is that he was not assaulting. They assaulted him when he tried to help two women who were knocked to the ground. That's a fact. And how it got out of hand from beyond there, and who did the shooting, and who saw the gun, and whether he pulled the gun. That stuff cannot be debated in the public domain. We just don't know enough about it. And yet...
Yes, we do.
And
no, we do. We see it.
No, but let me just finish. They'll get up.
And there's
let me just finish, though, my thought.
People saw it too, and now the message is put out there is saying, well, did you really see it? And they say, look, the gun was pulled from his back.
Did you see them pull the gun from his back?
And then they
Did
shot
you
him.
see them pull the gun from his back? How do you know it was in his back?
The video shows.
There's nothing that shows anything. There's nothing that shows. Again, a video, if you're relying on video, Bill, I would caution you. Trust me.
Okay, this is fresh. This is Saturday. It was put out.
Yep.
I saw it.
Saw them all. I saw 8 different...
other people saw it. And now we're being told that what we saw wasn't really what we saw.
All I'm saying...
That's what's going on now.
All I'm saying is, if you're going to base your conclusions sitting here in Newfoundland and Labrador from cell phone video, and you can make a definitive decision on exactly what happened there, then you know what? They don't even need law enforcement. I mean, you just can't make those assumptions.
No. There were 6 of them. They wrestled him to the ground.
That's absolutely true.
They took the gun from him, and then they shot him. And we saw it, and everybody saw it.
Yep. And so...
No. That's he was killed.
Yep.
And
yes, he was.
And what they're doing... What?
We know he was killed. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitive.
He never fired a shot. There was 10 shots.
I'm not saying anyone fired. You don't know what happened. Were you there?
Well, we saw it.
Were you there? Were you there, Bill?
There was a woman there, and she videoed it with her phone.
Okay.
And they showed her. She had the pink coat on.
Yep.
And they said, so, no, we can't know what's going on. There's no question about it that the administration are pumping up the dehumanizing of migrants. They've said it over and over again that we're just getting violent criminals off the street, and they got them all portrayed as violent criminals. Okay, that's a fact. We know that. We can hear the reports. We can hear what they say at the White House. We can hear how they jump to conclusion right away when stuff happens, and they're saying the body had.
That's true.
Yeah, we can see all that, and so now a camera is a semi-automatic weapon. The guy had a camera in his hand. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there's no question about that.
Yes. No, there's not.
He wasn't offending anybody, and he was thrown to the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And sort of thing. I don't think.
Saw that too.
And then the other thing, these guys are all going around with masks on. They're throwing gas like gas and into the crowds and stuff like that. I mean, This is stamping out dissent, right? And there's people. They said when people were protesting in Minneapolis and stuff, like if you went on the Facebook and the internet and stuff like that, the other half of the population, I would say half, but there's a sizable portion of the American population, they're all over it. They say bring in the water cannons. There's stuff like that. You see, it's bad, it's wicked, and so. Here they're descending into like a third world conditions where the government will show up with like a truck with a water can. People are asking for water, and people that are out descending. These are ministers and old people and all kinds of people. They're not out. They're protesting. They're blowing whistles. Yep.
And Bill, I take no issue with what we all saw and we all noticed. What we didn't see and what we don't know is what happened. I'm sorry. You weren't there. I wonder. Just let me finish. Okay, Bill, stop with the...
You got to fish your cut bait sometimes.
Bill, stop with the...
Bill,
can you stop?
We saw it.
Hey, Bill.
And you got to call it for what it is.
Are you going to just continue and ignore me? Okay, he's gone. Yep. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah. Are you gonna? I don't want to cut you off, but if you're not going to let me just finish what I was trying to say with the no.
Okay, go ahead, say it.
Thank you. If you're basing all of your assumptions and conclusions on video you've seen, it's wrong. You're wrong to do that. I'm not saying what happened. I don't know what happened. I was not there. And as someone with a lot of experience in the news business, trust me, if you're basing your assumptions, you should cool down a moment. Everything that's going on that we see is wrong, except for the actual fatality moments. We can't judge that kind of a situation from here, okay? I know what I saw. Listen, I agree with you. It was a man filming. He's an ICU nurse. He was there filming what was going on, which is not illegal. He had a weapon on him, which was fine. That's not illegal. He didn't brandish it, as the Homeland Security said. That didn't happen. So do we want them out making those assumptions? Or nobody making those assumptions? Because we all know when Kristi Noem said that he was brandishing a weapon. Did you see him brandishing a weapon?
Nobody did. So that was
exactly.
They lied right away. So that,
exactly. But that's
they lie, right?
Okay, but let me finish my point. That's my point.
Yeah.
We don't want them drawing conclusions, right, on stuff that just happened. Especially wrong conclusions, such as the brandishing of the weapon and going there to kill and do maximum damage. Nobody ever saw any of that. Those are all assumptions done before any investigation. We don't want them making those assumptions, and we shouldn't be making them either. Whether or not they're going to have a full, complete,
we saw it, Brian. We all saw it. And we saw what
so
happened,
as I said,
right?
don't judge your assumptions on the video.
AI can't make that stuff up, right?
Okay. Yeah. As I said, if you're going to judge it on video that you've seen, it's the wrong decision.
Everything that's happened around it, like all the lies that they say, all the people that are going around with masks on and stuff like that.
I agree. That's wrong. I mean, look, I got no problem with that. I'm just saying making assumptions about exactly what happened in a fatal shooting is a fool's errand. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, okay. So like Renee Good was shot in the face 3 times. You're telling me that was...
If you're going to base everything you've seen on 6 or 7 different angles of a cell phone video, it's a fool's errand. You can't decide. Are you going to make that investigation? Are you going to do an investigation, complete investigation on a video you saw?
Now, if it smells like a duck, if it walks like a duck, and if it talks like a duck, it's a duck.
Yeah,
okay?
That's good.
This is fascism, and we see that they're stepping out and they're murdering their own citizens.
Appreciate the opinion. We're way past the time. I wanted to let you have your say. Thanks, Bill, for the call.
Okay, bye.
Take care. All right, Dave, let's take that last break. My apologies to the newsroom. We'll be right back.
The Tim Powers Show. Join the conversation weekday afternoons at 4 p.m. on your VOCM.
And welcome back to the home stretch for Open Line on this Monday, January 26th. Let's go right to line number 2. And Mayor Dennis Ball of Badger, you're on the air.
Hi, Brian. How you doing?
Morning, Mayor. Fine. All things considered, I keep saying I'm thawing out, but then again, you can certainly relate to thawing out and ice conditions gone from Badger. So how is the situation out your way these days, or this day, or this weekend?
Things are currently stable, Brian, but this time of year and the behavior of the river, things change rapidly with regards to the ice generation, the location of the ice front, water levels. So we were issued an ice jam advisory on Friday of last week, so then we initiated a river watch. River watch is still in effect. The ice jam advisory got lifted yesterday based on the amount of ice that was generated. So the ice jam advisory is still lifted, but we're still in a river watch. And the ice front has moved to Badger itself. So the water levels are steadily rising as we speak.
So we know that levels below, Knoll Paul's Brook. I remember even last year, I remember the story last year when it was above the high water mark. Are we at that level yet, or is this just still very much precautionary?
It's precautionary currently. We're not at that level as last year. They rose rapidly last year, and a section of the community was forced to evacuate. It was a small number of homes, but still there was a small evacuation that happened last year. We're not at that point yet. But, we're monitoring it, continually monitoring the situation and getting updates from water resources in the province. And
certainly we don't even want to think about, 2003, I think?
Yeah, that was the 1 in 100 year flood back in 2003, yes.
So what is it basically, Mayor, about that basically causes that issue? And has there been a year that you haven't had this issue?
Not that I can recall since I've been, on council or either the deputy mayor or mayor. We've constantly, there may have been a few years that we weren't forced to have river watch. We've been pretty consistent each year around this time of year when the temperatures drop that we initiate a river watch. Last year was the first year in a while that probably since 2003 actually, that the water actually breached the riverbank and entered the community. So that only happened last year. So us being involved, unfortunately, we're well versed in these situations this time of year. And us being in contact with government officials, our CMP, our fire department being on alert, all those type of things. This is what we're going through currently, and this is what we go through pretty much every year during this time.
Yeah, it's become a real unfortunate rite of passage, hasn't it? And no pun intended. Only if only the ice would be a rite of passage. Have there been over the years any kind of proactive measures or anything even now that you can look at? It's going to be a problem. Some things that are going to be a problem year after year, people will come up to a solution for it. But are there any other solutions or any other proactiveness that you could take to try to fend this off and at least mitigate, the potential for disaster every year?
Well, I guess unfortunately, how the river behaves based on weather and all those factors. I guess some of the proactive pieces that were done probably back in 2003 was
actually moving houses and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the community got moved to different areas in the community, or they chose to move out of the community altogether. There's still a small number of residents that chose to stay in the area. So the riverbanks are the same height they were back in 2003. So some of those mitigating factors, obviously making people aware of the potential, keeping them updated regularly, making sure that the emergency services people are on standby to, react if, it got to the point where the water, exceeded the riverbank, similar to what happened last year. We went door to door. It was a seamless evacuation by the residents. Everyone was safe in doing so. But, that's probably a testament to our fire department and, how well they're trained and us just being aware and updated regularly with the ice prediction models and constant contact with the province so that, we're not caught off guard, that, we're aware of what's happening, we're aware of the potential risks. And if anything were to happen, then, we're ready to respond. So
I imagine there is an open line of communication, say, especially at this time, because it was only, it was mid-February of last year that flooding became an issue, as you said, since the first time since 2003. So one more time, just for the residents and everyone else, the current status, how would you characterize it?
Yeah, so there's not a huge amount of ice generated today, 188,000 cubic meters, and there's not a significant amount of ice generation predicted to be formed tomorrow, so that's good news. Residents should be aware that the ice formation is at Badger, so they have it broken up into segments every 2.5 kilometers. I believe there's a different segment. Yesterday, it was 3.5 kilometers downstream from Badger, so that moved quite a distance since yesterday. So it is at Badger. The water levels are rising, so just be cognizant of that. But be aware, all government officials are aware, emergency personnel, the RCMP, the fire department are aware. If anyone is concerned or do have any questions, just feel free to reach out to the town office. and we will provide assistance and or clarification and answer any questions that you may have.
Fantastic. And you know where we are. If you ever need to get something out on the air, especially open line, you know that the reach we have. So, and our newsroom in there is always available for anything that needs to get out there. So, Mayor Dennis Butt Badger, thanks for the call. Appreciate the update, and good luck with that.
Thank you very much, and appreciate it.
Thanks again. All right, Dave, let's take that last break for the morning, and right back with Rick Noserly. And as mentioned, into the home stretch, let's go right to line number one. And Rick Noserly with the Avalon Trailways president, you're on the air.
Thank you for getting me on. I appreciate you reaching out to me.
Well, we appreciate you being available, Rick. You know, we've seen each other at a lot of these news conferences with the RCMP, and we talk about ATV safety and off-road safety and all those sorts of things. It must be very frustrating for you and for everyone, you know, when we see fatalities involving ATVs. Now, there have been a couple of recent ones. I know we're going to talk about the weather and that sort of thing, but, you know, and I don't have any information on the causes of two recent fatalities on ATVs, but it must be disheartening and very, very frustrating and just so sad when you hear these reports continue to come in.
It certainly is. You know, we are getting better, and these two, the last crashes, I don't know too much about them, but I know that, you know, families are suffering because of this. I know one, a 22-year-old man who was a very responsible operator, and, you know, I've had several phone calls, people telling me what a great guy this fellow was and how he was pretty responsible. And things happen, and the same with this other thing, this other incident out in Fairhaven. Like, I don't know the details, but it just sounds like people that were enjoying the recreation and something went bad.
Yeah, and again, we don't know what happened in either of those specifically. They're being investigated, and I wouldn't even want to pretend, because people are, you know, the families, as you said, are going through such a difficult time with these. They're just absolute tragedies. Whatever happened, and we could all be in an accident any day, and not make sense of it. So, but I know you wanted to call as well about safety on that note and preventative, as opposed to our just having to react to these tragic situations. What do you want people to know the most about the weather conditions out there right now and operating an ATV or any kind of side-by-side or off-road vehicle?
Well, this time of year, it's always, unfortunately, we get these issues at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year. You know, it's like people want to be the first one on the ice, and sometimes people, you know, trying to be the last one on the ice. And, you know, especially on the Avalon, we need to be so careful because we make ice different here. Like, it freezes different. Like many people know, I got a place up in Deer Park, and we were up there last week, and 4 days ago, the pond was wide open. And now we've been sort of having a look at the place. The coves froze 2 or 3 days ahead in the middle of the pond. So, you know, if you went out on that ice and you checked the cove and worked out, you know, that cove has had probably like a 2 to 3 day head start on the rest of the pond. And, you know, considering that a week ago it was open, you know, the pond is just not safe, but it could fool you in close to the shore in a protected cove. And also here on the Avalon now, it's a situation where the water levels are extremely high. And when that ice freezes, the water is going to run out from underneath it, and it could create a gap between actually the pond and the ice, and eventually that's going to collapse. So, you know, that could open up a lot of open spots, you know, in the ponds as well, like when that ice drops. And, you know, an ATV, when it's on ice, is very vulnerable. It doesn't steer well. You know, it push steers because of the glare ice. And because of snow, you know, if they're on the ice and there's snow on top of it, the machines are very slow. They don't handle slush like a snowmobile does. And you could run into trouble. And when you do run into trouble, you need to find a way to self-rescue. Because, you know, what I mean by self-rescue, you know, you need to get yourself out of the ice or out of the water. Because as good as the search and rescue people are, and we're very, very lucky here in Newfoundland, these guys train like the Rovers and the Wolverines and all that. Like, they constantly train, and if they get you, they'll get you out. But keep in mind, when you go through the ice, you could be an hour before help arrives. So, and that's a critical hour. So, you know, you need to have a plan, because, you know, it's a 1-10-1 principle. When you go through the ice, you have a minute to get your breathing under control, you know, because you're hyperventilated. You can only imagine when you hit the water what it's like. You have 10 minutes of usable time when you're in the water to get out, you know, before your muscles cramp up. And then when you get out of the water, they say you have an hour before hypothermia cuts in, and that can kill you. So, you know, you need to have a plan before you go on the ice.
What is the simplest plan, Rick? I mean, you know, obviously be careful and all this kind of thing. Check the ice and ask locals if you're not familiar with the pond, all that sort of thing. But, you know, what could be the most crucial piece of equipment you have on you if you should, God forbid, go through?
Well, I think the most crucial thing is a life jacket and ice picks. And like many of the snowmobile suits now you buy are floaters. You know, they float. If not, wear a life jacket. Like, it's not like, you know, like one of these PFDs. They're not like, you know, the PFDs of years ago, the big bulky things. You know, you can put it on over your snowsuit. It'll keep you warmer, and it'll float you. You know, you go out on a boat, you will certainly wear it. And, you know, maybe when you're going ice fishing or going on your ATV, you know, someone might look at you and go, gee, that looks pretty dumb. But it's not pretty dumb when you're through the ice. You could use it, you know. You would certainly give up a bit of fashion to be bobbing up and down, you know, in the water with that on. And the next most important thing would be ice picks. And you can make them or you can buy them anywhere. And they're just that. They go around your neck. You keep them on your person at all times, you know, when you're on the ice, because all this safety equipment that you should have, it's not much sense having that on your ATV or your snowmobile, because when the ice breaks, that's going to the bottom with your machine. But if you had that around your neck and, you know, get yourself out, never go on the ice alone. Always, you know, go with someone and keep your distance. So, you know, the worst thing you can happen is a tragedy, and the person who goes to rescue doesn't do the right things. They're too close to you, or they panic, and next thing, instead of having help, you got two people in the water. So, you know, you need to have a plan. You need to have the right equipment, and you know, keep your stuff dry. Have the ability to light a fire in a hurry, and you know, work on keeping your stuff waterproof, because when you get out, or even if you get out, things can get very troublesome. Then, you know, you're not, pardon the pun, you're not out of the woods yet. You know, you got to get warm, you got to get dry, and you got to get home.
Yeah, a friend of mine always has. He tells me, he said, one thing I always have is my cell phone in a baggie. Like, it seems simple, but, you know, and you may not be able to get at a cell phone. And, you know, you made that point about the hour, or even like the you know, the first few minutes. A lot of people, boy, you hit that water, you have no idea what hit you, and you don't even have a minute, let alone time to get out, use ice picks, and call for help.
You know, that's the perfect minute with somebody that's in shape and healthy. You know, you take
exactly.
those getting a little bit older and stuff like that. You know, you can't guarantee a minute or 10 minutes or an hour.
Exactly. Rick, listen, I really appreciate the call. We're right up to the news hour. Thank you for making yourself available. It may seem like common sense, but as we know, it's not all that common. Thanks for the call.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for reaching out.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of Open Line. Thanks to Dave Williams. Thanks, buddy, for helping me out. We're off to Sarah Strickland with the news. Drive safely. Arrive alive, people. VOCM cares.